Hey, back with another video for you today. I figured it was time to do an updated Vetiver Fragrances video or list. And I've never done a top 20 before, so this is the first time I'll be doing that, but I'm not putting them in a top 20 list. I'm just going to tell you my top 20 favorite Vetiver fragrances randomly. So if you're curious to find out what they are, please stick around. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews, and I'm going to get right to the list. I wanted to also let you know briefly at the beginning that I'm a huge lover of Vetiver fragrances since I discovered Guerlain's Vetiver, the original, which is this right here. I've got a brand spanking new bottle here, and I love this stuff. It smells absolutely fantastic. A bit tired because I've worn it so much, but this is what got me to really enjoy Vetiver fragrances. The very first time I bought it was back in the late 90s. Although I had smelled it from my dad, but I was very young. I was thinking that the smell of Vetiver in fragrances was a little too mature for me. But the very first time I bought it was in the late 90s, and it was a different bottle. It came in a square bottle with some stripes. Now they've gone back to their uniform bottles, and the smell is pretty much the same. So to start things right off, Vetiver by Guerlain is a very popular Vetiver fragrance that I absolutely love. And as I said, I bought the very first time in '99, and I've been a fan of it since then. But recently I discovered Vetiver Extreme from Guerlain, this one right here. And this one actually is a unique take on this. I'm not sure it's necessarily considered an extreme, at least to me it's not, but there are some changes with the notes and of course the color of the juice, as you can see. You've got a yellowish green here and you've got more of a like a green here. So they're a little different. And also this one comes off a bit licoricey, not overwhelmingly licoricey, but it does come off a bit licoricey, so I guess that's what they are going with and calling it extreme. If you've worn this one a lot, give this one a try because you might find this one a little more unique because sometimes you get tired of fragrances. So my first selection is Guerlain Vetiver or Vetiver Extreme. Very popular designer, well I guess you can call it a designer Vetiver fragrance. Next I wanted to mention a fragrance from another designer. This is Dior under the LVMH umbrella that also owns Guerlain. This is a very hard to find Vetiver. It's from the Privé collection. It's Dior's Privé collection Vetiver. And this one is one of my favorite Vetiver fragrances. If I had to put a list together, I would probably put this at the very top next to another designer's Vetiver. But I'm not doing that. I'm just suggesting different Vetiver fragrances. You probably can get this one in Paris, France, where Dior is based out of, because that's where I picked it up recently. Not necessarily like really recently, but back in January of 2017. So if you make it over there, you can probably find it. It is one of my favorite Vetivers, as I said, and it's Vetiver with coffee, and it's a true delight. I absolutely love it. That coffee gives it a sweetness and a bit of a earthiness to the Vetiver, which is already pretty earthy and woody anyway, but absolutely a wonderful Vetiver fragrance. So check it out if you can. Still get a bottle, because if you have smelled it and you've been wanting one, there's possibly ways to get it in France and Paris. The other designer fragrance I wanted to mention is of course Chanel Sycomore from Chanel, from the Privé collection. Now this one is all about Vetiver, of course, but you also have some cypress notes, and you've got juniper, tobacco, and spices, woody notes of like sandalwood and geranium, and of course you gotta have the signature aldehydes that's present in Chanel fragrances. But this one I recently featured at #1 in my top 20 Chanel fragrances video, and this one is a pretty awesome Vetiver fragrance. It smells wonderful. It wears wonderful. Not as good as their EDT, because this is the EDP that they've gotten reformulated, but still a great scent. So check out Chanel's Sycomore. It is on the pricier side. Since they went to the EDPs, they jacked up the prices so high. But still, if you can afford it and you love a good Vetiver with the Chanel stylings and DNA get that one. So I wanted to talk about another designer release, and this one is very, very popular as a budget one. It is ENCRE Noir, and stay tuned for some reviews of this. But I also wanted to recommend the original ENCRE Noir. This is one of the first fragrances I bought when I first got myself into the fragrance community, because everybody was speaking about it. It's one of those dark, inky vetivers, again with cypress, because it's woody and dark, inky, earthy, dark, very dark vetiver. But it has a cult following amongst the YouTubers and of course people in the fragrance community who follow the YouTubers. And I quite like it. It's probably also very, very close to the Sycomore. But there are two other versions of this, and I find the L'Extrême version a little closer to the Sycomore. There's these two versions. I find this one really sexy actually, and it is really, really close to this. Try them out, compare them. And you can find these really inexpensively. But there's also one more version, the sport version, which takes it to a more fresh direction, this one right here. So if you're curious to find out about these, look for a video next week discussing these three very, very popular vetiver fragrances. All right, we're going to non-designer releases next, and we're going to the indie niche house of San Marco with their fragrance Vitrum, this one right here. Now this one is a gorgeous, beautiful, very earthy, woody, smoky vetiver with, of course, vetiver in the dominant note. And you've also got incense here, you've got oak moss, you've got black pepper, you've got bergamot, a little bit of rose thrown in for an excellent, excellent quality vetiver. It takes the vetiver into a different kind of direction. More indie stylings rather than like designer. Of course, we're going right to niche here right after the designers. And this is a very underrated house. If you don't know San Marco, it's fronted by Giovanni San Marco, who the brand takes his last name from. Do check it out. I've got a video with Giovanni San Marco discussing his brand, so he also discusses Vitrum in it. So if you don't know Vitrum from San Marco, check that one out, because I find it really, really an awesome vetiver, really intense, deep, and rich. Next up, we're going to the house of Bruno Fazzolari. And this is Vetiverissimo, this brand new one that's coming out very, very soon. Now this one is all about vetiver again, but a beautiful, very, very easy to wear vetiver. I was wearing this one because I recently was sent this bottle from Bruno Fazzolari. And this one is great with the cedar note in there, and of course the resins. Just wears very, very beautifully. It doesn't have this heaviness that you would come to expect from a vetiver fragrance, but then again also it doesn't kind of become very airy and light. It's got some heft to the fragrance and unique touches. Now I find it to be a bit on the clean side as well for a vetiver, which kind of tends to go earthy, slightly dirty, because I find vetiver smell a bit dirty. That's just me perhaps, but I just find vetiver to smell dirty, which is not a bad thing, but this one comes off a bit on the clean, soapy side as well, which I kind of like. So you've got a very, very clean vetiver experience here. So check it out. It's brand new. It's Vetiverissimo from Bruno Fazzolari. Next up, we're going to the luxury house of ROJA Parfums, and this is Vetiver pour Homme, this one right here, which I have a full review of on my channel if you're curious to learn about it. But you've got a lot going on with this one, as you've come to expect with ROJA Parfums fragrances. You've got lots of different notes playing here, but very, very classy, masculine fragrance. Not necessarily on the deep, well, I guess I would call this a deep and rich fragrance because it's got a lot of notes in it, but it wears very, very classy and sophisticated, masculine. All of those come to mind. That's why it's called Vetiver pour Homme. You've got notes of vetiver here: bergamot, lemon, rose, nutmeg, galbanum, labdanum, oak moss, black pepper, cedar, and lots of other notes here. Very, very gorgeous fragrance. You've got to love this one. It is just to die for. So check it out, Vetiver pour Homme from ROJA Parfums. Awesome, awesome release. Next one is a fragrance I picked up last January 2017. I brought it back with me. It was a 50 ml bottle. I found it at a sale at a perfume shop in Luxembourg, and I've been wearing it too much. I absolutely love it. This is a fragrance by the Italian house of Etro, and this is just vetiver, and this is a boozy vetiver. Delicious. That's why I keep using it. Although it is a 50 ml bottle, as you can see, but I've worn a lot of this one, and you've got notes of vetiver, cypress, tobacco, clary sage, cedar, and Davana. I believe it's Davana. So it kind of gives it like a booziness. Just gorgeous, just lovely. You still have that slightly dirty, wet, earthy smelling vetiver, but you've got that boozy touch, which makes the experience really, really unique, because you just wouldn't expect boozy notes with vetiver, but it works wonderfully. Check it out, it's Etro. I'm going to pick up a larger bottle next when I finish this one, but this is Etro's vetiver. Speaking of boozy vetiver fragrances, from the house of ORIZA LEGRAND, this is Vetiver Royal Bourbon, this one right here. You got the name bourbon in the name of the fragrance, and it's exactly what you come to expect. You still have the vetiver in here, it's dominant, but you also have mint here, juniper berry, tobacco, oak moss, and sandalwood, iris, leather, and labdanum. Just absolutely fantastic fragrance. This is a very, very underrated house. It is a very classic house that was resurrected several years ago, and they've got their fragrances updated with their classic fragrances are updated for modern noses, if that makes sense. But this one is a delight if you don't know it. Do check it out. Boozy lovers, vetiver lovers, you get the best of both worlds in one fragrance. Vetiver Royal Bourbon from ORIZA LEGRAND. Do check it out. Next up is Vetiver Dance from Tower Perfumes. This one right here. Now this one is another one that's very, very unique. You've got the Tower Oud in here. You'd pick up I definitely pick up the Tower Perfumes DNA, but it's all about vetiver, but it's not one of those vetivers that's very, very earthy. So you've got vetiver, of course, for dominant note, and you've got clary sage, and then you've got grapefruit here, which gives it a very fresh vibe. And then you got lily of the valley, cedar, ambergris, rose, labdanum, tonka beans, and a few other things happening here, but a very, very unique vetiver experience. It's not your typical earthy vetiver, as I said, but smells wonderful. Very, very unique experience. And if you love Tower Perfumes, you've got to check out Vetiver Dance. It's a unique vetiver fragrance experience. We're going to the house of I Profumi di Firenze, and this is Vetiver de Giava, this one right here. A wonderful fragrance. This is taking it to a more aromatic experience with vetiver, because you've got a dominant vetiver note here, and you also have lavender. Lavender is big here, along with sandalwood, pine, spices, and flowers, and then elemi resin. But it smells like vetiver, of course, but it's also very fresh and aromatic, as I said. It doesn't come off heavy. And if you like vetiver fragrances and you were trying to find something that's not so rooty, heavy, deep, earthy, this is definitely one for you to try. This is an underrated house that you should know about. It's an Italian house, and they sell their fragrances at Beauty Habit, and they're $110 for a 50 ml. A good price for fragrances in the niche world. So that one is I Profumi di Firenze Vetiver de Giava. Next, we're going to another unique vetiver experience, and this time we're going to the house of the different company, and this is Celle de Vetiver, this one right here. Now this one is unique because it's got salt. So you've got vetiver, and you've got salt, and you've got some citrus notes of grapefruit. Then you also have geranium, iris, cardamom, bergamot, and ylang ylang, but a beautiful salty vetiver. It doesn't necessarily go into aquatic territory, but it definitely has salt. And you know, sometimes you associate salt with sea salt and things like that, but definitely not definitely not aquatic, but very, very unique salty vetiver experience that I absolutely love. If you don't know it, check it out. If you like salt in fragrances and you love vetiver, this is definitely one for you to try. So this is Celle de Vetiver from the different company. Next up to the underrated house of Bella Bellissima, or Bella Bellissima. This is Vetiver Spice right here. So another unique vetiver fragrance, because this one has licorice or anise in it, or absinthe I think is what it is. So you've got vetiver, you've got citruses, you've got musk, you've also got cardamom and violet and leather, and then you've got that licorice or absinthe note, then gaiac wood and vanilla. Very, very beautiful. Very beautiful. I absolutely love this one. It smells great because, you know, I love licorice, anise, absinthe, things like that, and it works wonderful with the vetiver. It's just a very, very unique experience. It's also not the heavy vetiver that's a heavy, deep, rich, earthy, woody, dark vetiver. It's very light and refreshing, and I think the absinthe and the citruses and the musk here give it more of a lighter experience rather than a weighty, heavier experience. Check it out, Bellissima Vetiver Spice. Oh boy, we're going to the very butch fragrance called Private Label by JOVOY. Now this is a very manly, masculine vetiver fragrance. I've got two vetiver fragrances on this list because from JOVOY, and both of them have the same two dominant notes. So this one has vetiver as a dominant note and patchouli as a dominant note. This one also has leather, and it has papyrus, sandalwood, and labdanum. But it is so deep and rich, and that papyrus note in here is just magic. It's like you pick up the vetiver, you pick up the patchouli, and then you pick up the leather, but that papyrus kind of dominates and gives it this like wet, earthy touch to it, and more like slightly inky, but not necessarily smelling like vetiver. It's a very, very unique experience. It also has this boozy touch of tobacco vibe. All of those connected together to create this wonderful, very masculine, very, very masculine butch fragrance. If you like your fragrances masculine, this is definitely one to try. It's Private Label by JOVOY. Awesome, awesome release. But speaking of JOVOY, the next one is an absolute compliment getter for me. This is Incident Diplomatique by JOVOY. Again, you also have the same two dominant notes, and it's all about vetiver and patchouli, and it's sexy, classy, awesome, awesome fragrance. It's beast again, but not as beast as Private Label. I think Private Label is just ultra beast. This one is beast, but very long lasting, but very sexy, very classy, and a major, major compliment getter. People chase me down the street and say, what are you wearing when I wear this one? This one actually, I think the patchouli and vetiver are very equal. You get equal amounts, whereas in Private Label, it's still more about the vetiver. Then you have patchouli, leather, and papyrus. Here, it's equal, and the connection of the two notes, it's heavenly. It's amazing. It was actually my favorite release of last year. It's just to die for. So this is Incident Diplomatique from JOVOY again. Do check it out. It is awesome, awesome release. Again, not as butch as Private Label, but still on the masculine side, at least to me. Next up, a very, very popular niche fragrance from the house of Frederic Malle. This is Vetiver Extraordinaire. So, class all the way. This one is just classy. Awesome house, Frederic Malle, and it's got dominant notes of vetiver, bergamot, pink pepper, cedar, bitter orange, cloves, sandalwood, oak moss, myrrh, and musk. But the experience of this fragrance is just awesome because it dries down to a musky resinous note, but at the top you've got this bitter orange start with the vetiver and the cloves. A unique, unique experience. I haven't seen the cloves in any vetiver fragrances before, and of course I haven't seen the myrrh either. And the oak moss and the bitter orange just work so well together. Awesome classiness here. If you don't know Vetiver Extraordinaire, you might want to check it out. It's an awesome vetiver release from Frederic Malle. I had to include one Creed fragrance on this list, and this is not the one that is more popular from this brand. This is Vetiver Geranium. Awesome release from this house. I think it's a very underrated, but what I like about this one is equal amounts of geranium and equal amounts of vetiver, and it smells like true vetiver, whereas the other fragrance, Original Vetiver, to me doesn't smell like vetiver. To me it smells more like Mugler's cologne, a little unique take on that fragrance. There's no vetiver in it. I don't get vetiver from that one. This one I do get vetiver from, and this is really, really classy. Well, you have a lot of fun stuff happening here. You've got a dominant geranium note here. You also have lemons, crisp apple. You've got patchouli, cedar, bergamot, musk, rose, cinnamon, amber, and vetiver. True delight to wear. It works great in cool, not cool, but warm weather as well. And I love wearing this one. So check it out. This is Vetiver Geranium from Creed. We have a few more fragrances left. This is one of my favorite vetiver fragrances. It's Bal d'Afrique from BYREDO. A very, very easy to wear vetiver fragrance with the dominant vetiver note along with marigold. It might lean a bit feminine for some guys, I have a feeling, but it smells so good. It's just one of those very, very happy vetiver scents. To me, it doesn't smell like a true vetiver because I think the marigold pretty much takes over, but there's vetiver in there. You can pick it up, hints of it, but it doesn't smell like the earthy, dark, woody, intense, deep, rich kind of vetiver. It's more light. It's just refreshing. Very easy to wear. I think it's perfect and appropriate for fall also. The warmer days of fall. So Bal d'Afrique from BYREDO is a really, really awesome vetiver fragrance. A few more and then we're going to be done here. 8 & Bob has a fragrance called NUIT de MEGEVE, and I have a review of it on this channel. And this one is, to me, somewhat close to Dior's vetiver because this one has the coffee note, as I said. And of course, NUIT de MEGEVE also has that coffee note. So I get some similarities to the Dior vetiver. So these two kind of sort of smell similar to me. If you can't find this one and you've tried this one and you like it, get it because definitely this, or if you are looking for a replacement bottle for this and it's nowhere to be found, definitely test this one out because I think you might think that this is definitely one for you to try or pick up. But it's a great house. It's classy. It's a classy scent, NUIT de MEGEVE, all about vetiver and coffee, as I said. So check it out. A lovely, lovely scent. Last but not least, we're ending this list with Vetiverio by Diptyque. A very underrated fragrance, I think. I bought it and I love it, but I just don't wear it. I didn't pull for it. The original in EDT I dismissed because I thought it was too light. I love the EDP. It is stronger, it does last longer, it is deeper and richer, but for some reason I forget about it for some odd reason. I don't know why. It just, I guess there's so many vetiver fragrances out there that I come to forget about this one, but this one's definitely a good vetiver. It's really, really classy. It's got some great notes of citruses with vetiver, but it's also got this deep and richness about it compared to the original Vetiverio in EDT. So I'm gonna give this one more of a try, more of a wear soon, because I do love it. But if you know this one and you have it, let me know your thoughts on it too, because do you like it? Do you tend to pull for it? Or is it something that sits in the back and you forget about it? Do let me know. The Diptyque fragrances are also awesome, and this is a great, great release from a Diptyque. So check it out. This is a Vetiverio in the EDP concentration. And that's it for the list. Those are my 20 fragrances. 20 vetiver fragrances, or top 20 vetiver fragrances. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this list. Do you have these fragrances? Do you like these fragrances? Or do you hate these fragrances? What do you like about them? Let me know, put some comments down. And if I've missed any fragrances, any vetiver fragrances, do let me know also. Please put a comment down so I know what it is that I need to check out in the future, because as I said, I'm a big fan of vetiver fragrances. I love wearing them. I love wearing them in the fall. And the other best thing about vetiver fragrances, if it's raining, I love it in the rain as well. It just smells so awesome. The moist, it makes it moist, and the dampness of the rain kind of just brings out the fragrance notes even better. And if it's humid at the same time when it's raining, it's delightful, like an amazing experience. So that's what I like about vetiver fragrances, guys. So if you have any questions or comments, please list below. Otherwise, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.